decided to write a novel. I know it was shortly after I started drinking again. I had stopped drinking several years earlier. No program, no steps, no slogans or sitting in a circle telling your story. I just stopped. Part of the reason I hoped was maturity, specifically the growing sense that going balls out on a bender simply wasn't that cool anymore. And part of it was a growing trepidation. I had started to notice little tendencies what we at the shelter would later call werewolf drinking, never knowing when some internal switch would get flicked and you would go from hilarious to a little bit scary, never knowing when the guy who thought it would be awesome to run down the street naked would become the guy who thought it was awesome to break a window or punch something. So I just stopped. And now I had started back. Carefully, yes. Cautiously, sure. But after a few weeks, it looked like I had nothing to worry about. I went to work, I came home, I had a few drinks, I felt a little bit better. Better than I had in years, actually. Music sounded better, jokes were funnier. And every night I pounded away at the keyboard, chipping away at my masterpiece. Work was still depressing, but I had something to look forward to afterwards. Several months passed, and I began to notice a growing schism between me, the nocturnal genius, and me, the daytime editor. Maybe some writers can pull it off or even prosper, but it seemed that more and more often I was shuffling through pages of narcissistic, rambling, redundant paragraphs, sometimes even gibberish. By now I was drinking more than ever, but I decided the actual problem was a lack of structure. I simply didn't know where the story was going. And so writing gave way to outlining, and outlining gave way to brainstorming. Brainstorming being what I told myself to justify scribbling down random ideas on scratch paper, but telling myself that I was still hard at work, that success was just around the corner. One day I woke up on the floor surrounded by bottles. As I began to clean up, I found a napkin upon which I had written, "New screenplay, Cat Napper. He is abduct your cat." This was, for me, a new low. I went to the library and stocked up on motivational books and motivational tapes. I identified my negative thoughts. I listed the ways I self-sabotage. I climbed the 7 stairs of reinvention. I sat in front of the mirror and repeated my affirmations. I am gifted. I am talented. I unlock the vault of my own creativity. I create my own reality. The next day I woke up wedged between the mattress frame and the bedside table. On my right knee was a yellow sticky note upon which I had written in a Sharpie, "Banana, banana." That probably sounds bad. But for me, this is the kicker. I put an asterisk after the second banana. Like there was something special about it. Like it was a little reminder to myself. Was it not an actual banana? Was there some fruit-related footnote I had misplaced? What the hell was I talking about? I'll spare you the details of my hitting bottom. Aside from being a little bit shameful, that whole field of addiction-based confessional has become as tired and overcrowded as those memoirs where people learn an important life lesson from a hobby or an animal. How quilting made me a better parent, how rescuing chihuahuas taught me the power of forgiveness, how lemurs showed me the meaning of love. I saw one the other day where the author claims that living with a rooster taught him what it meant to be a man. I freely admit that the male gender role has many, many problems and that we're probably a century or two past due on a complete overhaul. But how deep do your issues run when your preferred life coach is a chicken? Suffice it to say that I did clean up, and this time it did involve a group and some slogans and some steps and sitting in chairs and sharing our stories. AA has my eternal gratitude, but I'll admit it makes itself a very easy target. Most people harp on the tsunami of slogans and catchphrases that they throw around, but the truth is they never really bothered me, as I tend to think that we hide our deepest truths by submerging them in cliché. It was annoying when people would hijack the sharing period to stage the unspoken contest for who was the worst or craziest drunk. Don't get me wrong, if it helps keep someone sober, I'll listen to the same story 1,000 times in a row. But it's hard to be patient with that one guy you know is waiting for a telepathic high five as he once again narrates the night he did shots, had sex, did some more shots, then drove his truck from Myrtle Beach to Las Vegas before noticing the terrified crossing guard clinging to the grill. There's one conversation from this chapter that still haunts me. During the first year, Angie and I talked a lot about religion and philosophy. She was one of the few people I knew who'd actually spent time in a Zen monastery. For me, the practice was all about enlightenment, the experience of attaining absolute spiritual awakening, the truth that could never be put into words, the place where there were no more questions. If you had asked me about it, I probably would have lectured you sanctimoniously about how it wasn't a goal, it wasn't an achievement, how you were already the Buddha, and it was total bullshit. Enlightenment was, for me, the spiritual end zone, a place that I secretly believed and deeply, deeply hoped that unhappiness and fear and shame and loss could never touch you. It was the only reason I practiced. And I bristled at a new generation of Buddhist readers, Buddhist writers who downplayed it, saying that you were perfect as you were, that there was nothing you needed to do. The sentiment for me was too close to saying, this is as good as it gets, this is all there is. I would not accept it. Angie endured one of my rants one day and just smiled. I asked her if she felt the same, but she said for her it wasn't about that, it was just about being okay. I prodded to see if she was being sarcastic, but she wasn't. All I want is to get to the place of okay. I want to look in the mirror and say, I'm okay, things are okay, everything's going to be okay. I respected her more than anyone I worked with, but on this I staunchly, deeply disagreed. Years passed. Angie left the shelter, and she left very badly. She had been diagnosed with a serious illness and had relapsed into her own demons. Someone reported her for coming to work under the influence, and while I don't know if there was any truth to that, I do know that when she quit, it was in a maelstrom of obscenities and tears. She disappeared shortly after that. I've tried to look her up a couple times, but I've never had any luck, and I've been forced to accept that on that there may be no closure. It's been a decade since I had a drink. It doesn't bother me when other people drink around me, it really doesn't. But the real testament to how things are going is that I honestly don't think about it much. I also don't think about enlightenment, though I still plop down on the floor at night and fold my legs up like a pretzel. Sometimes I go downstairs to sit, and I find that my cushion has been claimed by one of the furry, ungrateful creatures that roam our house, stealing my fishing line and crying when I'm too slow with the food. Sometimes I'll go back upstairs and sit in our bedroom. My wife talks in her sleep and dreams aloud, asks me, why is it raining indoors, expresses her frustration that I won't clean up all the deviled eggs on the carpet. I'm selfish that way. I've been blessed in ways that I never imagined, maybe in ways I never thought. I sit to be okay, but if I pray, I give thanks, because so often things are so much more than okay. And if Angie is still out there somewhere, I honestly hope that she's okay too. Thanks.